We've got the most epic puzzle in TV history. Yeah, I said it. We've got an FBI agent who isn't what we seem to think he is. And we know more about traveling through dimensions. Stick around as we talk about the OA episodes 5 and 6.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, guys? What's up? We got the lights. Things are getting weird on the OA. I'm your host, Anna K. Thomas, but I am not alone. Welcome back, Lauren Hubbard, everyone.
Thank you.
And we got our girl, Erica Edwards, here as well. Season 2, episodes 5 and 6 of the OA. Things got weird. I was obsessed. I made a very bold statement in my opening about it being the best puzzle sort of mystery that I've seen in a long time. But what do you guys think? Overall thoughts before we dive in deep?
Overall thoughts. I thought they gave us a lot to work with in these 2 episodes. We get to figure out more of what the puzzle is and where it came from. So I liked that it gave us more to figure out and deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Erica?
I really enjoyed it. I think that the OA has an interesting combination of sci-fi and real world sort of combo. So I think you never kind of grasp you never fully grasp what the world is that they're defining for you, but very interesting. And they gave us a lot of backstory on the house that was really helpful and kind of getting an idea of really what's going on.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking about a lot today. We're going to deep dive into both episodes. We've got a special segment by Lauren Hubbard on experiments gone wrong, which I'm really curious about. Erica's going to be doing news and gossip, but let's get right into it with episode 5. It's called The Medium and the Engineer. I was obsessed with this episode. I know we might have some disagreement today on the panel. I just thought it was like I was along for the ride. I was very engaged with what was happening. This house, we finally understand more about it, or seem to understand more about it. And so I want to start with the house and what you guys thought about how Kareem and Prairie got into the house through the tunnel and the water and everything. And then they separate in the house and go through their own sort of, I don't know, rooms and mind plays and different experiences. So what did you guys think about the house and its significance in this episode?
Well, I'm still confused as how she went from the octopus thing that they went into a tunnel and it led them to the house. Like, how did a nightclub experimentation thing lead into the house?
Like, how long was the tunnel?
Yeah,
right?
that's how did those
long?
2 connect? I guess I'm trying to figure out how they connected. But I did like the fact that them separating, to me, it seemed like it signified the difference in them knowing the puzzle and also kind of knowing how whenever the voice found Prairie, it said, "We've been waiting on you." So that's why I feel like it took her on a different path and it took Kareem.
Interesting. Erica, what you got?
I think I was okay with getting from the club to the house.
I can't wait for Erica. I just can't wait.
You're so funny. I thought it had something to do with the 3 Ys or whatever. So I think the way they situated it before they got to the club, I was pretty sure the club was close to the house because that's why they were going to go to work and then figure out the secret entrance. Mm-hmm. So I was okay with that part. I wasn't clear on 1, how they got separated, really, and then 2, with the water and the well or whatever, because I think he said initially, well, this is how Michelle gets in so nobody sees her. So I wasn't clear, is it always filled up with water? Did it just happen this one time? Is it like the tide?
Did someone flush?
I didn't really understand, exactly, was it the sewer? That part was a little...
I thought it was a sewer.
It was a little perplexing for me, where the water just suddenly came from. But, be that as it may. So I wasn't clear how I guess the whole point was for them to get, maybe it was, I guess, in the swimming they got separated. I'm not clear how they got separated, really, because I thought she helped him out of the well, and then...
No, they were in the house
they were
together.
Right,
they were in the house.
The mirror that kind of turned.
Right, they were in the house together, so I wasn't sure... Yeah, that was my thing. I was like, why wouldn't you stay closer together? But outside of that, I thought it was interesting that they both went on their separate paths through the rooms of the house. Mm-hmm. So that was actually interesting.
Yeah, and so they go through this house, and there's different rooms with different sort of puzzles, and, well, not puzzles, but mirrors and ways to get out. And is the wallpaper really wallpaper, or is there a hole in the wall?
Right.
I just thought that was such a cool way, cinematically, to play it. something I loved too was when Kareem got stuck in that upstairs bedroom and he thought he was trapped and he just starts going crazy. And then I guess something fell or he realized it was hollow. His phone fell. And he lifts up the bed and realized that that's a staircase down. So I thought, like, that stuff I was into.
I did like that. And speaking of the wall, we never saw who was behind the wall. Whenever Prairie was kind of like peeling at it, I wanted to know who or what was behind that wall.
Yeah, I
Does
agree.
anyone?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I
agree.
know.
I
was
thought
thinking
like
about it.
because I thought okay, Kareem was thumping, so I thought it was Kareem honestly, but then
Fala?
they never showed her.
I thought it might have been Michelle. Like a part of me was hoping it was her, but it was
interesting.
like they never even mentioned or like they never went back to it. I was just like, oh, okay.
Right.
Someone's eyes poking, but we're never gonna see
I know.
who it is.
We'll talk about it later too with the dimensions kind of coming together. But I feel like I'm starting to like the show. I love it, and especially this episode. I like this one actually more than episode 6. But it's sort of like I'm in this mind trip right now where I'm like, okay, but what's real? And like, how far are we gonna push it? And like,
Right.
the octopus for me took me out, and then the tree thing kind of took me out a little
Yeah,
bit.
I wasn't really feeling the tree. Like, how? First of all, where in the house could she fall and then land into a whole nother desert tree forest type thing? And then on top of that, Kareem was like, he was more in the desert. And then
I did
people
not like that
I
scene.
did not like that. People just started grabbing his legs. It was like,
It
what
was like The Walking
purpose of
Dead
it? Yeah.
meets the OA meets like the Giving Tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't
was
get
like,
that.
what's up with this? It was cool, but like I more so enjoyed the house and the puzzle and like Kareem going into that room and seeing the model house. And he was
Right.
looking in the windows while they were narrating the story.
I did like that.
I like that
Yeah.
stuff. I didn't really need like, and then it's like, okay, so are those people old spirits from Curie who didn't make it out, or like who are those people in the holes?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a challenge. I think for me, that is sort of the issue that I sort of have with it is that they kind of set it up as if it's sort of present day, but a different dimension. But then all these other things are like, oh no, this is a totally different universe or whatever.
Yeah.
So that part, so to me, I feel like they're not laying enough groundwork for you to really buy into it. So every time something fake comes on, or not fake, I mean, I guess theoretically it's a different world, but it comes off as fake because it's
Right.
like, okay, you done spent, all
Right.
these episodes explaining to us that we're all kind of living the same world in
Right.
just a slightly different dimension.
Yeah.
Or like, are you saying that in these other dimensions now octopus talk regularly and that's not a thing? Like, so that's a part where I think kind of makes the viewer have a challenge with the adjustment.
Absolutely.
And then also like the past, you talking about other dimensions and is it fake, but it's like it also brings up the past a lot, the narrators. So it's okay, how far along in the future are we?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what I want to know too.
I want to pull up this picture of Zendaya because she is back in this episode, but something's a little different with Zendaya, who plays Fala in this show. And yeah, so it begs the question of like, I thought Kareem had just seen her a couple of days ago.
Exactly. How
then the
much time
house-
passed?
But is the house what made her old? Because at the end of the episode, she gets splashed with the water, and they mention in the narrated story something about the well and the water and how important that is, and it has special characteristics. She gets splashed with the water and then goes back to being
Young
again. So it's like, did the house make her old, did the water make her young, or did getting out of the house make her young again because she wasn't in that physical space?
Well, what if the house has like, it's a different time zone? Like, what if it has a different,
Girl, I don't know. You watched the whole season.
No. This
so
is
I'm
not
like,
a prediction. I'm
Lauren
not
Hubbard, really?
I'm literally not giving into anything, guys. I'm just asking you guys, and I'm guessing too because I promise you the show doesn't tell us. But it's like, what if that house? One day is 10 years in the house trying to figure out the puzzle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that is what I thought, although, like, clearly not 10 years. But when she was like, oh, I've been waiting for you, I feel like she was doing something with the game and then got trapped in the house. Like, like we presume Michelle is. So, yeah, you could be in some sort of other dimension or, or a time jump in this dimension.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe she came back from a different. Is that what you're saying, or no?
Well, no, I'm saying he was helping her kind of with the puzzle.
Right.
So, then he went on his way. So maybe she's still clearly working the puzzle, and she's the smartest one out of the house or the crack house or whatever they were in. And so, And so she went back to that. I think she went back to that house by herself and got trapped in there of some sort. So now they're not quite in the regular dimension, kind of like what you're saying. It's some sort of time gap. So she's really been in there 50 years trapped. You know what I'm saying? And in this dimension, maybe she's clearly still young or whatever. But I kind of thought it was some sort of time jump within the home.
Something
makes
about
sense.
that. But then it's like, how long would Kareem and Prairie had to have been there for them to time jump?
That's what I'm saying. The timeline is all off.
The timeline's all off. Let's jump real quick to Homer, because Homer makes a big play in this episode too. He has that weird dream in the beginning where he is like, it seems to me in the past, he's like caveman-esque is the best way I can describe it. And he's with some sort of like priestess, seeker, witch, I don't
have
know
no idea what
how
she
to call her,
is.
sorceress. And they end up going to this rack of bodies, these backs. And it seems to me like he found Prairie's back. And then he like goes to like smell it and lick it and
That
stuff.
was so awkward. I did not like that scene at all. We didn't get any backstory for it either.
But it shows to me that Homer, it further concretes his obsession with Prairie.
Okay.
Or Nina in this dimension.
No, yeah, I know.
Right, Erica? What do you think?
Well, to me, I felt like that scene was the first scene that indicates that maybe Homer actually did jump. Because I never really thought he jumped. But in that scene, he's like, I'm looking for her, and I've only touched her once. So he's to me, he's remembering what happened in that other dimension. And so since this is this dimension's Homer having the dream, I feel like that's the other Homer trying to break through or something. So maybe he actually did jump, is what I thought.
So you think the other Homer jumped like to that past wherever he was with that woman?
Well, no. What I'm saying is when this Homer that was a dream sequence from what I could see, right? So he's sleeping and he's having this dream that he's whatever with the skin and stuff. But because the person in the dream says, I only met her once, and then I think they cut to or whatever, it's alluding to I only met her or kissed her, touched her once, was from the other dimension, right? So he's having dreams as if he had been to that other dimension. So to me, that leads me to believe that the Homer from the first dimension is somewhere buried in his consciousness or something, and this is his way of like coming out.
Yes, I'm living for that. That's smart, because we do see Homer start to crack in this episode. So he comes across those files with Hap doing, I don't know, he's getting recorded,
Therapy
right?
sessions,
Therapy
he's recording the
sessions with Curie, and then he uncovers that Hap lied about Rachel. She never got transferred. What happened to Rachel? We know, but Homer doesn't know yet.
Right,
and so we
right.
see him starting to crack and question things. And even at the end, right, he records Scott talking about his NDE. And Homer is doing it for Hap, but I think while listening to Scott's NDE, like the dream, they're all little bits like hammering at the facade, right?
Yeah, definitely. It starts, I think the last two episodes, because of all the signs that and what people were warning him, he's finally realizing, okay, maybe I should look into this and see what's really going on. And that's what leads him to listen to he happened to fall upon the tapes, but that's what leads him to call the other psych ward and try and figure out what happened to Rachel.
Right, exactly. So I just thought that was a nice way to set up what I think is going to happen in, the finales is Homer and Hap sort of colliding.
Right.
All right, let's go move on, because this is one of my favorite parts of this entire episode was Elodie and those cubes, those magic movement cubes.
Yeah.
We see Hap goes on this, I don't even know where they are. They're on like some they're in San Francisco still, but they're like at a hotel together. They sleep together, like at their conference. They go to a show. I'm like, this is the longest date I've ever seen. It's like a 3-day date. And they just met, but good for Hap, I guess. And, but things go awry, right? So he obviously, as Hap does, can't ever just let someone live their damn life and be happy. So he goes to inject her and take her back, presumably to Treasure Island and all the stuff. She's like, I'm too smart for that. And she sets up her cubes. I thought this was brilliant.
I didn't.
Really?
Okay, because this is what I'm saying. Why couldn't she just leave? She had enough time to call the police and say there was a death. She had enough time to have this whole plan in her head. Why didn't you just put on a shirt and run out the house? Like, what was stopping you from leaving? Because he went to the restroom or wherever he went to get the injection. During all that time, she could have left. On top of her not leaving, she showed him how he can now time travel, which I'm like, okay, so now you're giving him this so he can ruin other people's lives. So I was just like, okay, why would you do that?
Erica, help me out. Help me out.
Okay, so I thought there was a time he was saying something to her, and because from what I recall, he actually brought the needle to the bed or something.
Yes.
So he was there, but then maybe he got a call from Homer. Something called him away before he could inject her, right? So I wasn't necessarily, like, she probably has a feel that he's like cuckoo or whatever, but I didn't really feel like she jumped necessarily because she thought he was going to inject her. Because, yeah,
What?
like, if you thought that, then yeah, you could just, I mean, if you wanted to stay in this dimension, you could just walk out the door. So I think she was ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Because she's a traveler. She's on vacation. Maybe she want to go somewhere.
I'm done.
So I felt like, it just worked out in her favor because she would have been locked up someplace. But, so I didn't really feel like, I wasn't convinced that she knew that the needle was there. Otherwise, why don't you take the needle and inject him? Like, you had so many other options instead of.
I think she knew.
Yeah.
She knew he was going to do something. Because
I think she felt uncomfortable, but I think she wanted to jump anyway.
She could have, but I think she knew, because why else would she call the police? That's why I'm.
No, I think she called the police because when you jump, that's how you leave. Your body's going to be.
But she was framing him.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It looks like
She was framing him because
But I thought she said, no, what she said was, I think it's an allergic reaction, is what she said, right?
She did say that.
So if you have an allergic reaction to peanut butter or whatever, that's necessarily, to me, I didn't think she was framing him because she said allergic reaction. She didn't say the person's been mothered or whatever. But I think that she said that so that the police would come and whoever's body it is, they won't die because, they'll go to the hospital or whatever they're going through.
That's a good way
when
to
you
look at
jump.
it.
That's how I thought of it.
My question is, what's she gonna do in this next dimension without her little cubes?
That's what I was wondering
Why? I don't
too.
understand.
Like,
You
left
can't
them
take that
behind.
with you?
Yeah,
No,
you left them
no.
behind.
She wanted to teach Hap how to do it, or
Well,
what?
no, I think that you can just get them. I mean, they didn't look that
Remade?
hard. Get them made.
Really?
Where you go?
Wait,
Yeah.
can we put up the still of those cubes again? Because that looks
That
to
looks
me like
intricate.
engineering, like at its finest.
That looks to me.
And then you gotta get 5 of
no,
them.
that
and they
looks
all
to
are
me.
in sync.
No, that looks to me like something when you go visit some place and then you get like those, something to remind you of the,
Do you know it looks like
a
those little
souvenir. That's what I would
Transformers.
say. So, to me, it's a souvenir. Like, whatever. It didn't look that intricate. It just, to me, she just had it actually doing the movements. But theoretically, one of two things. One is when the people do the movements, they also jump. So, and you leave whatever behind. So theoretically, if she needed to take them with her, then she did, because that's how you jump anyway.
But at the very end of the episode, we see Hap gets
Takes
one
one.
and it's cracked open so he can, because the rest's shut. And it's like, how do you open it? And so
Right.
we see him get the one that was cracked, and presumably he's going to try and reverse engineer his own magic cubes.
And I don't think they're that magic. I think she just had the cubes, to me, from what I saw, the cubes are doing the same movements that the people do.
Right.
So it's the movements
Yeah, but
that are
how does
magic.
But how did she get them to do it? Is the thing. Like, you can't just put the thing together and just be like, okay,
Yeah.
make the movements.
To
Someone
me,
had to.
any sort of
engineer
mechanical
that.
doll, you'd be like, look, I want a doll or a cube or whatever, these paper clips that I'm stuck together to move a certain way.
Oh my
So
gosh.
to me, it didn't look like, like it didn't look like super science. It just looked like, okay, these are the movements. You don't have to have people to do them. That's how I took it.
I thought it was so cool. I
I
was like,
did
oh
too.
my
I-
gosh, she
I
figured
mean-
out how to make it into these cubes.
Yeah,
I
like,
thought it was cool
so
in that
smart.
you don't need people to do it.
right.
So I think that is cool. But to me, the technology itself didn't seem like it was anything more than just like little moving dolls or whatever.
Oh,
I thought it was really, it reminded me of those little bitty Transformers,
Right.
The little bitty ones.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it is. So it's not like we have Transformers right now.
No,
today.
I mean
So-
on the movie, like the movie
Okay, we have I don't have any kids, but we have little Transformer dolls that move, and you can put a battery in them and make it do this.
I
I guess.
Wow. Okay, so
I feel like you're comparing it to like the dancing Elmo, like.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, you're coming up with all the
can't.
perfect things. I don't even know these toys.
Okay, I
but
guess
if
I'm
you
not
can-
helping.
I
I'm
can't
not
with
helping
you
our
two.
case.
If you can make your elbow dance, you can make your elbow do the
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
Elmo can do it. He can do
And
it.
here I am watching this episode being like, wow, look at what they did. I was
It's
like
dancing
stunned.
Elmo.
I was stunned. Okay, so our panel is a little bit of disagreement. But something that we don't disagree on is how much we love you guys. So I'm going to turn it over to Lauren Hubbard with a little special message for you guys.
Yes, guys, we just wanted to thank you so much for making us the ESPN of TV Talk and for helping us continue to grow. So if you're on YouTube right now, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. And if you're on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating. But no matter where you are, leave us a comment so that you can get involved in the conversation, and make sure to comment once the live stream is over, because the comments during live stream do not stay. But being a part of AfterBuzz TV has meant so much to all of us, and we truly appreciate you guys for supporting us and doing what we love. And don't forget to tell your friends and your family to keep watching our shows. Thank you so much, guys.
We love you guys and appreciate you guys sticking with us every Thursday. We only have one more left. Oh my gosh, season episode 7 and 8 we'll be doing next week, and our girl Lauren Lipman will be back with us. Let's get into our next episode though. Mirror Mirror. So we are back in the original dimension with BBA and our band of crazy kids, and we unfortunately lose a character. So kind of saw this coming. I was still a little surprised, but kind of saw it coming. Jesse, of course, did not make it. He was going through some struggles with drugs, we saw, and it finally kind of got to him. He OD'd, and he is no longer with the group, but we see his death sort of divide the group. So Jesse's death, what were the thoughts when that happened? We see, the movements did not work to revive him the way it did with Scott. Do we think, this is my bold kind of question, do we think Jesse is related to Scott?
Wait, Jesse related to Scott?
So Scott is from the basement with the OA Rachel and everyone. Do we think because there's drug, it was only because of the drug parallel I thought it, maybe. No one's buying it. Okay, what do you guys think about Jesse? I
didn't think that, but I mean, it could be true. I mean, it just didn't occur to me.
If you want to think about that, then I would say more like parallel characters, like how she had her crew underground with Hap. Now she has, like you said, BBA and the other crew. I would say they could be more parallel, but I don't know about relation.
Okay, all right.
But I didn't see his death coming. I did feel like he was an outcast, and I felt like at some point he wasn't really connecting with the group like, he used to in the first season. So, why keep his character on, I guess. But I didn't see it coming until I saw him take the drugs from the sick grandfather. That's when I was like, okay, he's going to do something crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't see it coming, but then I wasn't totally shocked either, because he seems very troubled and not able again to relate or open up to his friends. So so I wasn't that surprised by it. Really.
Yeah, I've got a still of them running to the ocean, which I literally love the scene. I'm from Florida, so the ocean's everywhere, and I was like, wow, like to be in a place where you've never seen the ocean. I thought this was a beautiful moment, and it really highlights how Jesse is not partaking in this beautiful moment. And last week we talked a lot about how the show has subtle references to different cultural issues. So we talked a lot about French and his sexuality and how they played that and what that means, and his relationship with Steve and him coming out to Steve. And I think this episode did a nice job. It was a little heavy-handed at times, but I think it did a nice job of talking about PTSD, teenage depression, and accidental drug overdose and suicide. So I really did appreciate the show delving into that for what it's worth.
Yeah, and then also when you talk about that, Buck, she didn't get in the water, or he didn't get in the water either, because he's a trans, so he's transitioning into that body. So I noticed he didn't even take off his jacket or pants, and he left on his shoes even too, I think. So that kind of shows you he's not completely comfortable in this new body yet either.
Yeah,
I agree.
Did you guys think at all that Steve's doing the movements would bring Jesse back?
I was hoping it did.
I thought also too that either that it would bring Jesse back or allow Jesse to jump someplace else.
Yeah. I wanted him. I didn't want him to die. And I realized, I was like, okay, well, how long are they doing it? Because at first only Buck and what's the other one? Steve were doing it?
Steve.
Only Buck and Steve were doing it. And I was like, why isn't anybody else doing the movements? But then I saw like, you could kind of see the sun shift. So they had been doing it for a while. And I was like, okay, well, guess he's not coming back.
Yeah.
Right.
It would have been probably, I kind of was hoping for it too, but I like the show because sometimes it doesn't make things so clean. And it would have been just too I mean,
Right.
what kind of show would that be if you just magically
Disney.
came alive and it's like,
Right.
oh, you learned your lesson,
Very
you know?
true, very true.
Also, at the end of this episode, I gotta we have our old boy back from season 1, our favorite FBI agent, is it Elias or Elias? Elias? I like to say Elias.
Fine.
Our FBI agent who clearly is in on everything. I thought this was a huge moment. What did you guys think? Erica?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was very surprising because I was kind of like, yeah, like what did French really expect him to do anyway, except for like put BBA in jail? Like why was the point
You
of
knew
even,
that wasn't gonna happen.
what was the point of calling the FBI? Like why would you do that? So so I do feel like it was a surprising twist that was really kind of brought it together.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised too because he said, I was sent here to help BBA. And I'm like, sent by who? Like, who sent you? And then for him to be, the FBI agent and him to be in season 1, his character that he was, and now he knows everything. And it's like, you hear these voices in your head, and he's like, it's just spaces that you have not yet, entered or, learned. And I'm like, how do you know this?
Yeah, okay. We talked a lot last week about Prairie having this brother figure, and we were thinking that maybe it was going to be Kareem. And now I'm like, well, maybe is it like our FBI friend? Is he sort of her brother figure? But wouldn't we have known that in the first dimension? But I don't see how he's playing into this yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you see, like, I don't know, did you guys have a strong sense of like where he's getting his information from?
No.
If he's another character in a different dimension that we have already met but we can't place right now?
Oh, that would be a good one. But I have no idea. Like, he didn't give me enough to figure out who sent him, why he's there. I mean, I know why he's there, to help them, whatever. But, how do you know this? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. We obviously knew from season 1 that there was more to his character. I did not think it was going to be the last time we saw him. I just sort of forgot about him because there's so much going on right now.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to me that he's here sort of like this mentor figure for BBA and these kids. Also, when the heck is BBA going to finally go to the other dimension? I'm like, girl, like you were summoned like 2 episodes ago. Like we gotta get moving. So maybe he's going to help them. Maybe now that Steve's not there, he knows the movements and will help BBA cross into Nina's dimension. I don't know. We'll save it for predictions, guys.
Right. So now Steven was like shaving his head in another hotel room. Like what was
Okay.
that?
No, he snuck back into the house.
Right. So
where
I
was
was
the
like,
people?
That's what I thought. I was like, okay, so he's back in their house and he's like he's drinking water. Like he's like, exactly. Where are they?
Well, he's distraught because he probably thought he could have helped Jesse, which he probably could have. And the FBI are after them, so he has to change
he's
his
gonna
identity.
go back to the house that
That
they were
didn't make
last
any
at
sense
instead
to
of going
me.
where your friends are at the hotel, and now you're there. You're gonna clean up. Like I didn't even.
And
you're
still
gonna
a
cut your hair.
jacket, Honestly, I mean...
I didn't understand because at first I was like, wait, is he still in that house? Maybe he's jumped a dimension or something. Like, what is going on? And why are you, like, I understand being distraught and whatever, but I don't understand why you went back into that house. Like, I just don't get that.
Y'all a bunch of haters.
So, I mean,
Whoa.
hey,
Okay, I'm just saying.
like,
him,
you might as well turn yourself into the police. Like, why would you go there?
him shaving his head kind of seemed like he was about to join a supremacy group or something. I was like, what?
Or I was like, okay, mirror, mirror. Is he going to jump through the mirror or something? What's going to happen? Because why are you in the house and you were standing there when the woman called the police? So why?
Well, he can see that they're all at the beach. The paramedics are there, so I think he's like knows that people
risky.
aren't.
That's crazy.
It's risky, but Steve is risky. Steve is
to
ballsy.
go in and cut your hair while the police are outside looking for you. Like,
And it's more DNA, right? You're just like,
you're like, okay.
Why did he even run back? Because the boy is dead. Like, what was he possibly going to do?
Yeah, so I totally, maybe he's like, I'm just gonna live with BBA's cousin. I don't understand. If someone in the chat understands, please explain, because I have no this made no sense to me whatsoever. Like, at some point, I was like, okay, maybe I missed something, and he's in a different hotel room. That's why I asked you that, because I was like, he couldn't possibly be in here drinking water, cutting his hair, and he knows that the police are outside, and his friend, you know what I'm saying, investigating his friend's, like, death. Like, that makes no sense to me. So maybe someone else knows. I don't know.
All right. Well, clearly we have a lot to talk about. Many opinions on this panel tonight. Someone else I know who is opinionated, obviously, is Erica Edwards with some special news for us today.
All right. Breaking news. So this week, sorry, that's not the picture. Okay, yeah. Ian and Brit were on the Ellen DeGeneres show on Wednesday.
Oh, cool.
And, you know, Ian, I actually don't watch Ellen, but I'm sure it's a marvelous show for those of you who do. And I guess Ian was indicating how just this show has even helped his mother, I think, understand more about him being transgender and the changes that he's going through. So that's all I have for news.
Wow. Very cool. Very timely and topical. And Ian, we talked too about that last week, that so Ian is transitioning, meaning he hasn't fully transitioned, so he's still binding, right? And so that's taping down your breasts. And he talked about during the segments how the wardrobe people used to go in and try and fix his binding and fix the shirts, and he was like, no, like, this is authentic to Buck's character, authentic to who I am. And so I thought it's really cool that he's continuing on this journey of talking about it on Ellen and discussing it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, moving on to
that leads into one of my experiments gone wrong.
Ooh, we've got a special segment with Lauren Hubbard.
Yes.
Ooh,
I like this
creepy
music. So,
what you got?
I'm going to tell you about 2 experiments gone wrong, but the first one actually is about, someone who was homosexual, and they were it was back in the 1940s and the 1950s, so this was a while ago. He was taken into electroshock therapy, and this was supposed to cure him of his gayness, but instead he ended up dying 3 days later. And other people who were actually going through the same experiment, they had like brain loss, or they went into Great Depression. So eventually they stopped because they realized no one was getting cured of homosexuality. And this was during the Cold War. So, okay, and then another one, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, are the Stanford experiments, which was the school basically separating 2 groups, making one the prison guards and the others prisoners. And basically they realized, I think they had to shut it down after 5 days, because they realized that these students started taking on the characters, and the prison guards were literally threatening the prisoners, which are all students, by the way. None have any more authority than the other, but because they were given these roles, they realized that they started to take on these characteristics, and some of the prisoners actually started going deranged. So that was pretty interesting, and they never did that again because it left such a negative impact on the school. But
okay, so I too have an experiment gone wrong, and I have a crazy photo. And so mine is similar to Lauren's first experiment. It's involving electroshock therapy. But clearly they didn't give up on it in the 40s and 50s, because in 1960, Dr. Loretta Bender of New York Creedmoor's Hospital began what she believed to be a revolutionary treatment for children with social issues, electroshock therapy. So when it didn't work on homosexuality, she did it on kids.
Oh my God.
Which is even crazier. Bender's methods included interviewing a sensitive child in front of a large group of people. Then they would apply a gentle amount of pressure to your head. Oh, wow. And supposedly, any child who moved with the pressure, like if I start pushing you and you move, then that child was considered, Bender was unsympathetic. Basically, that's when you got your electric shocks, okay? And Bender had used electroshock therapy on over 100 children, the youngest of whom was the age 3.
Oh my gosh. And you know what? I think that's the same doctor that did it on the one I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Because you said after homosexual. That's the same doctor. That's the same doctor. And that's 3 years old. That is
shocked. I was an
horrible.
emotional kid, so my ass would have been shocked. Like, you don't even know, like constantly. Because I was like, I didn't act up, but I was sensitive. I'm still sensitive.
Well, we can
and I
just
get emotional.
taser you and try it. And
Oh,
see how it
great.
is. I'm
Thanks.
just teasing.
The panel has turned on
No,
me,
I'm
y'all.
just kidding. We
They
do
have
not promote
turned.
violence.
They have turned. Okay,
All
so
right.
the medium and the engineer, we got Mirror Mirror. We are almost at the end of our run with the OA.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is going to happen in episodes 7 and 8? We've got our predictions, y'all.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I love it. We have the best team here. Can I just say that? I love our producing team so much for making all of this
Yes.
happen.
Thank
so
you,
shout out to
Jonathan.
Jonathan right now.
I felt like it was Halloween right now.
It is. Well, you never know with the OA, right?
Right.
What do you think's going to happen?
I have to sit this one out.
Miss Lauren.
Oh, right.
Miss Lauren took the liberty of binge watching the entire thing because she couldn't help herself.
That's what binge watching means, though, you guys. Like, that's literally what it means.
So she knows what's up. So Erica and I are
can't
going to
say
hash this out. Erica, what is going to happen episode 7 and episode 8?
Okay, so I think if Homer is there, he needs to reveal himself. So I think if he's buried within the doctor or he's in somebody else in the new dimension, he's going to maybe come up, I think he's going to be the one to save the day. So I'm sure once the kids make it to the Treasure Island, to the crazy house, and once Kareem and the OA hook back up, Hap is pretty crazy and still probably in control. So I think in the end, Homer will kind of have to, at the very last moment, kind of save them before Hap, or helps them jump to someplace else, which is always a way to get out of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Does anybody remember Star Trek? You just beam me up, Scotty, and you're someplace different, and that too can save you from your demise.
Interesting. Question for you, Erica. Do you think that when the original Dimension kids in BBA, if she doesn't cross over, go to Treasure Island, which Homer will they meet? Because they're in a different dimension.
Right. So I think once they get to Treasure Island, BBA is going to have to jump.
And
is
then
what I
BBA
think.
will meet Homer as we know him now, Dr.
Yeah, and everybody I think
Dr.
BBA will
Roberts.
jump into the new dimension since it's only safe for her. So I think once they get to Treasure Island, she'll jump and then she'll still be in the crazy house locked up, so we don't know how that'll help anybody.
gosh.
But hopefully it will.
Okay, well, there's going to be something with Nina because the tree forest people told her that Nina would be the key. And I cheated and I didn't watch episode 7, but it's called Nina Azarova, so I know it's going to be important, you guys. And so I think that Nina is going to have some sort of significance and play in some bigger way than we've already seen. Jumping back to my original prediction in episode 1 and 2, I still think Hap is growing some sort of like brain farm thing with those weird seeds and plants coming out of people's heads. So I think that will get revealed. And maybe Homer will be the one to find it and he'll be as horrified as Rachel. And then everyone will come together and destroy Hap. I don't know.
And I think also hopefully they will address or explain or whatever what happens to the people once you go into their body. Like, is Nina still in there, or where is Nina at anyway? So, or any of these people. So where are the people in their dimension at when you jump in their body? You know what I'm saying? It's like, do you have a split personality? Is it somebody buried deep trying to fight their way out? What's going on? So hopefully they will answer that.
Yes.
Yeah, it kills me not to like.
I know. Well, we'll be right back here next week at 8 p.m. talking about season 2, episodes 7 and 8. Where can we find you guys in between now and then?
You can find me on all social media at Lauren the Truth, and you can check out my website, lauren-patricia.com.
My name is Erica Edwards. You can follow me on all of my social media at Erica, Erika, D as in door, Edwards.
And I'm your host, Anna K. Thomas. You guys can find me on all social media at Anna K. Thomas. Our girl, Lauren Lipman, will also be back, so the Fab Four will be back talking about the final episodes of the OA Season 2. You don't want to miss it. We will see you guys on Thursday for the last bit. We love you guys. Thanks for being here. Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao for now, folks.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.